Tonight's guest is Christopher Murphy, author of Where the Boys Are: Murder, Martinis, and Mayhem. Graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University and the Hurston Wright Foundation, he is a graphic designer, copywriter, and marketer by day and an author by night. In between the work, he finds himself traveling and discovering new thrills of life with the Hubs and their two dogs by his side. Where the Boys Are is his freshman novel, but he definitely has much more in store. So find out what his version of Boys Will Be Boys entails during tonight's interview. Hey, Chris, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great, doing great. How's everything going for you? How's the new release and everything?
It's been going really good. It's definitely been an exciting release, and I've been getting a lot of great support from friends and family and people, near and far. So it's been really exciting. And thanks for having me on tonight. I think this is a great platform that you provide, Black LGBTQ authors. So I'm excited to be here tonight with you.
Awesome, awesome. So let's dive into the questions. Your bio states that you're an activist. So what causes currently have hold of your heart?
So I'm actually a founding board member of Gay Pride Virginia, which is now Virginia Pride, which is Central Virginia's big Pride festival, basically. That just happened 2 weeks ago, 2 weekends ago. So I still do a lot to support them. I also do some graphic design work there. That's always going to be a cause that's near and dear to me. And most recently, I started volunteering for an emerging nonprofit called People Helping People. And basically, what we do is we provide much needed donations and hot meals to people in need here locally within the Georgia area. So I'm really excited to get started with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had recently gotten into some community work here as well, and it's just I don't know, it's just really fulfilling, to kind of to give back and help out the community. So I think that's really awesome. Let me see. So speaking of heart, obviously yours is taken. So how long have you and the Hubs been together?
We've been together for 10 years and we've been married for 7.
Okay, all right, that's awesome.
The time flies by. It really has flown by. It flies by when you have fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping, someday for me, we'll put a ring on it, somebody. So
Keep hope alive. It's gonna
so it looks like the two of you love traveling, good food, yummy drinks, whether it be wine or martini. So do you have like a go-to spirit that that kind of is like yours? Yeah, like for me, for example, I'm always one for like a mojito. Anybody who knows me, I'm always talking about mojitos or like a glass of Malbec or something. So what's your go-to drink?
It's kind of funny you ask because the drink actually makes a appearance in my novel.
Oh, does it?
A couple of, yeah, and it's funny. It kind of like plays a little bit of a role towards the end, but basically our go-to is Saint Germain, um, Grey Goose, shaken like a martini, and then we top it off with prosecco and a twist of lemon.
Okay, so you're gonna have to give me that recipe because I have no idea what that.
I just did.
I mean, you're gonna have to write it down because I'm not gonna be able to remember that at all.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. But we're talking about drinks. I imagine that at some point during the writing process, you might have felt like taking one at some point. So, what was the toughest part of the writing or publishing process for you?
Editing is never fun. So there's that. But also, I think a big challenge for me was just really finding the time to sit down and write. This was, a project that I wanted to do for a really long time. And it's hard when you're trying to juggle, a career and life and business. And so it was a real challenge. And so for me, I had to really work at making that a part of my routine and a part of my, daily life. So I ended up just doing a lot of writing at nighttime and on the weekends. And I set a goal for myself. I'm really good with goals. So I set a goal once a week. I have to get a new chapter done. So new chapter every week. And that's kind of what really was, what helped me to kind of drive the project home and get it done. But it took a lot to kind of get to that point to get it done.
Understood, understood. I know when I wrote my first book, I definitely was a lot more disciplined because it was just like, okay, I have this idea and you just you take time, like breaks at work or after work or whatever. You just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now I feel like it's a little bit harder because I don't know. I feel like that after that first book, you just like I don't know whether I wouldn't say drained, but it's like you've put so much creative energy into that thing, and then it's just like, okay, so am I able to recreate this? Have you
Right. Right.
experienced any of that? I mean, I'm guessing maybe you're thinking of some more ideas. Are you working on anything?
Well, yeah, I am actually working on the next book, and I had to really push myself to say, okay, keep writing. Even though I have things to do to market the book, and a lot of groundwork to do still. Um, I think it's important for me just to just keep writing, keep creating. So I've started something new, but I get what you're saying. Like it was tough. I had to push myself, over that finish line, and just to keep going, keep writing.
Okay, let's get into the book though. So what is Where the Boys Are about?
So, without giving too much away, I can tell you it's about a journalist who kind of really randomly bumps into someone from his past, someone that he was kind of an old flame, someone he really looked up to, admired, had a deep affection for. And he stumbles upon some evidence that suggests the person may be a serial killer.
Ooh.
That's kind of the short of it. There's another storyline that kind of runs parallel to it, and the fun is just seeing how the two all kind of connect in the end. So there's a lot of surprises, a lot of twists, a lot of turns, but I think that's pretty much all I can tell you without giving anything else away too much.
I got you. I got you. Got to kind of keep that mystery there.
Right.
I started the book a little bit yesterday, and I gotta say it was pretty riveting immediately. So anybody watching now, this is definitely one that you're gonna want to delve into. So I want to dig a little bit deeper. I want to talk about the genre and how that works with the theme of the book. So what's the theme of the story? Of course, without giving anything away. And
Right.
why was the thriller genre kind of the way to kind of like tackle that?
Well, for me, starting with the thriller genre, I'm a big fan of thrillers. When it comes to film, when it comes to literature, I love a good thriller. I love anything where I can't guess what's happening. Like you never want to watch a movie with me because I probably will guess what's going to happen like a third of the way through, and then I'm just bored. So I wanted to write something that was surprising with lots of twists and turns, but I wanted to do something within the genre, within the LGBT thriller genre that I felt, was different and a new voice. Right now, if you go to Amazon and type in LGBT thriller, a lot of what comes up is very kind of steamy romance driven, if you know what I mean,
Mhm.
through the covers. And it kind of looks similar. There's the handsome guy on the cover. Maybe there's two handsome guys on the cover. They kind of look all the same. Maybe they're shirtless on the cover. It's very, romance driven. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that had teeth. I wanted to do something that was dark. I wanted to do something that was heartbreaking. And also had its funny moments too. But I wanted to do something that stepped away from that formula, if you will. I knew I wanted to have mostly LGBTQ characters. I wanted LGBTQ people of color. I wanted them to have, big important jobs, within the book as well. And I didn't want it to be like a whodunit. A lot of thrillers that you read are, whodunit. You're kind of looking to see who it is and who the killer is, and then you find out who the killer is, and okay, great, that was entertaining. This is different in that it's not a whodunit. It's more of a why did they do it and how did they do it? How did they get away with it? And that is really where I think a lot of the interest comes in. It's different. And I think the fun of it is just kind of connecting those dots, seeing how everything kind of aligns in the end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it now. Um, I definitely, when I wrote my book, I definitely wanted to have LGBTQ characters of color as well, just because there's not, I mean, like you said, it's very, um, cookie cutter as opposed like as to what's accepted, I guess, by a larger audience. But it's very hard to find something that is a little bit different but includes these characters or has those types of characters at the forefront. I mean, you might find something a little bit more mainstream, but these characters are more side characters, and that's no negative to the author. It just might not
Right.
necessarily be that author's lane. You know what I'm saying? So, um, congrats to you for actually, taking it up and putting these people in these well, precarious situations. It definitely is entertaining for us. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I gave the example of, the book covers that, have the two guys on them, and there's plenty out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need those kind of books too. But again, I just wanted to do something that was just different.
gotcha. Now that your novel is complete and published, is there anything you do differently?
Probably the audiobook. I've gotten some requests for that. And if I could do it differently, I would go back and release the audiobook the same time I released everything else. And that's mainly just because it's just a process. You have to find the right voice, literally. You have to audition voice actors, you have to go through a certain number of recordings, and it's just something that I'm starting the process of. So it is coming, but if I could do it differently, I would just release everything at the same time.
It's so funny because even with me, like I feel like at least in 2019 and moving forward, a lot of people are moving towards audio as far
Yeah,
as, the way that if they're going to read a book, they're going to read it on the drive or, on a run or something like that. They're not necessarily going to take that. Everybody's go, go, go. So they're not
right.
necessarily going to sit down and read a book. I mean, there are a lot of people who still will do that, but I know even for me, like if I'm reading a book, it's going to be through an audiobook. So,
Oh, see, that's funny. Yeah, and I have a friend who, she told me, she usually does the audiobooks, and my book was maybe the first, hard copy book that she read maybe in 2 years, and she ended up reading it like in 2 nights. I think she finished it. But usually she's, audiobooks.
yeah, so I need to get on that too. So, yeah, you're inspiring me now. I'm going to have to get on my grind. With a booming graphic design business, excuse me, and your freshman novel out in the world. To borrow from what you ask your graphic design clients, how do you measure success?
Hmm. Within just the book release or just like as a whole?
Let's go with as a whole first, and then we'll talk about like the book release. Maybe we'll do both, if you
Okay,
can do
all
that.
right. So just as a whole, I mean, I'm one of those people. I like to stay busy. I'm a creative. I'm a maker. I'm a writer. I'm always going to be, these things, and a marketer. So success, I think, is happiness. Just being able to balance those things and just have a good life and be thankful and be productive and being able to put out good work, good creative work into the world. I mean, for me, that's success. And being able to leave something behind, which I think was a big motivation for me with this book. This was kind of a big bucket list thing for me. Just being able to have this out there and to have something left behind.
Now, I wanted to ask you, like, what was the inspiration for the book, if you can
Oh,
remember? Because I know sometimes you can't
no,
really
no,
remember the.
no,
Sure, go
that's a
ahead.
good question because I've been writing for a long time. I have a lot of like poetry and short stories, and some work that's finished, some work that's unfinished, but I keep everything. And so I had gone back and I was looking through some short stories that I'd written, and basically the inspiration for this novel came from two separate short stories that I kind of fused together as a starting point and then developed from there. And what's really kind of funny is that one of the short stories, it's actually now the prologue of the book. And I wrote this maybe 11, 12 years ago. And this particular short story, it almost got published. I submitted it into a collection of queer fiction sort of book that came out annually, and it got accepted. And I was so excited because it would have been the first time that I would have been published. So I was really excited. And then maybe like a week after getting the letter that it was submitted, they told everyone that they weren't going to publish the collection because of funding, I think is what they said.
Oh,
Yeah, so I came this close to getting published, and then here it is now, 11 years later, and it's the prologue for my debut novel, and it's pretty much like word for word, funny enough, from what it was. So the lesson there is just hang on to everything if you're a writer or a maker, like just don't throw anything away.
all right.
So that
Lesson received. I will definitely take note of that. Hopefully, everybody else watching will take note of that as well. So you're going to continue because I think you had mentioned earlier that you were always going to be a graphic designer, always going to be an author. Is this something that you're definitely like set on kind of doing both? And how do you see yourself kind of juggling those two things?
I think it's just something that's within me. Like I said, I'm a creative at heart. I'm a maker. I love marketing. I love graphic design. I love writing. So these are things that give me joy. So I always see that being a part of my life, and just juggling it. I think we make time for the things that we love. So yeah, I love what I do. So I'm going to do it as long as I'm able to.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So as you continue toward maintaining or achieving that success, what do you think would be the most help along the way? What basically would be your magic wand wish?
Honestly, I think just having a sense of a community around my writing, around my books. I mean, that's success, for me. I think about, my literary hero, Lynn Harris, and how his work has become such an important part of, our culture. And, he really established and was kind of a pioneer, the godfather, if you will, of, that kind of genre within our community. I have a really great Elin Harris story too, by the way. When I met him one time, I'll have to tell you that sometime.
We're here. Come on.
You want to hear it? Okay. So, but yeah. So to answer your question, just having that sense of community, I think, would be just amazing. That's my wish. Okay. So
Gotcha.
here's the Elin Harris story. It's
Okay.
really good. Okay. So this was 1998, I think. A good friend of mine, her mother had tickets to a conference that he was speaking at. It was the Sister for Sister conference. So catch that, Sister for Sister,
Okay.
right? Okay. For some reason, she couldn't go, and they offered the ticket to me. Her daughter did, and so I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'm going to go." So there I am at this conference. I'm the only guy there at the Sister for Sister conference, right?
Right.
And he's up, he's speaking, and I didn't just sit there quietly. I even had the nerve to get up and like ask a question in front of everyone. So yeah. So my question to him was, and I'll share this with people watching. I had asked him, what advice would he give like a new writer, an aspiring writer, and his advice to me was to keep doing you. People may not understand, your perspective, or they may not, get what you're trying to do with your writing, but just stay true to yourself. That was his advice to me. So I took that and I carry that with me, as I'm writing, even today. So after I had asked the question, he had like a time to sign books and everything, and so there were so many people waiting to like chat with him and get their book signed. Like it was really dragging on. And so they reached a point where they said, okay, we're not going to take any more pictures. He's not going to stop and pose or anything like that. Just, we're going to speed this along. So and now back then, I think, people had like actual like cameras, like they weren't, we weren't just using our phones. So I had like an actual camera, and I was telling my friend, just take pictures, just don't stop taking pictures. So I get up to the table, I give him my book, and I'm like pouring my heart out to him because, he's my literary hero. And, we're just chatting, and people are kind of getting a little bit, fussy or whatever. And so he stands up, and Elin Harris goes, okay, stop. I'm going to take a picture with him. And he stood and posed, took a bunch of pictures with me. And he was like really sweet, really gracious, and best day of my young life.
That sounds amazing.
It was great. It was great. So that's my Elin Harris story.
That's
You're welcome.
awesome. I love that. I love that. So let me ask, what's next for you?
I am, of course, working on the new novel. I have some travel coming up with the hubs, so we're going to a couple places in Europe and some of our favorite vacation spots towards the end of the year. And I actually have a big announcement. I was kind of saving this for today to announce. I'm going to be having my first book signing event. It's going to be in Richmond, Virginia on November 7th at Diversity Richmond. So I'm going to be posting more information and details on that on all my social media and on my website. But I was so excited to kind of share that tonight on your show with everyone.
I'm so excited that you were able to share that as well, and I'm definitely going to make sure that everybody who follows me hears about it. So that's
That'd
awesome.
be great.
So let us know where everybody can find you online.
Sure. So my website is ChristopherMurphyBooks.com, or you can find me on social media at Christopher Murphy Books.
Awesome, Christopher. Thank you so much for joining me for the interview. Um,
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
yeah, that was awesome. All right, so thank you guys for watching. I definitely, enjoyed bringing back this author interview series, and I definitely have more coming up in the future. And definitely pick up Christopher's book. There it is, Where the Boys Are, and just jump into it, and it's going to grab you immediately and not let go until you finish it. So, uh, so I'm just letting you know. So get ready.
Fair warning.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for any more notifications of more videos that are coming up in the future. And again, thanks for watching. See ya.